Hello, I'm Jackie Leonard from the BBC World Service. I'm one of the presenters of the Newsroom programme and the Global News podcast and the Coronavirus Global Update. One of the big ones is that we have slightly fewer staff. 25% are working from home, either because they themselves have underlying health conditions or they're taking care of people who do. The difficulty with that is that the systems that they have to work with at home are sort of streamlined, stripped down services, and lots of other people are trying to use them at the same time. Now, that means that they cannot do their work quite as quickly. So they are still able to contribute, but not in the same way as people who are actually in the building. For everybody who is working from home, there are a lot of people who actually have to be at work. At work, of course, is in a building which was not designed for social distancing, which means that some of the studios aren't quite big enough for people to be 2 meters apart. It means that we are trying to do more outlets, more programs, more podcasts with slightly fewer people, able to react slightly less nimbly, and with lots of demands being placed on our correspondents around the world. There are occasions that we can't get the live interviews that we need, so we have to pre-record them. One other big issue is that although we are all well used to dealing with breaking news and big stories, terrorism offences and market crashes and all of those things, generally speaking, at the end of the day, when we go home, we can switch off. And of course, that isn't really the case at the moment because we are all living this sort of lockdown isolation thing at the same time. So it's a bit more stressful on absolutely everybody. They want facts. They want science simply explained about what we know about the virus, about its spread, about possible treatments, and eventually a vaccine. They just want to know what's going on. They want it explained as clearly and factually as possible. At the same time, they are also very interested in giving a human face to the story so that we actually make a human connection with the statistics and the graphs and all of those things. People need to feel connected. The simple answer to that is yes. We obviously don't have all the radar figures at this juncture for live broadcasting, but in terms of the podcast, the Global News podcast, we know that there are 32% more devices currently downloading and streaming the Global News podcast, and that seems to translate to about 26% more hours listened. Simple reason for that, I think, will be that there are a lot more people stuck at home, thirsty for information. The other thing, of course, with podcasts is that they are a very good medium at the moment for people to get their information. Simply because it's really easy if you've just got the TV on or the radio on all the time to be a bit overwhelmed by all the figures and all the information coming in. With a podcast, you have chosen your time to listen to it. You have chosen when you are ready to listen to it. People do respond very well to those. There have been quite a lot of them. They started with people singing from their balconies to show community spirit and to stay in touch with friends and neighbours even when we are in isolation. We have seen people showing appreciation for health workers and other key workers. That's always gone down very well. We've seen celebrities like Tom Hanks, for instance, extending the hand of friendship to a little boy who was being bullied in Australia because his name is Corona. We've seen Lady Gaga and her Together at Home concert. We've seen various other celebrity events. We've also seen things like nature recovering and animals returning to places where they haven't been seen for quite a long time, and pollution being diminished. So there are lots of positive stories that are coming out of this. The ones that people obviously seem to warm to the most are indications of people just being nice to each other, extending the hand of friendship, at least figuratively, when you can't actually be in touch with people. Those are the stories that really seem to resonate with our audiences. I really hope so. We are doing our absolute best to debunk dangerous myths, to ask the right questions, to provide facts and practical, useful information to our audiences, and to provide reassurance where reassurance is appropriate as well. We are also trying to connect people and to let people know that while they're in isolation, they are still part of a global community. The BBC has responded really well to this, as the World Service always does. You might remember that in 2010, when Haiti was hit by that terrible earthquake, the BBC launched a Creole service to make sure that information got to people who needed it. In 2014, I think it was, the Ebola crisis in West Africa, the BBC ran an Ebola news service for West Africa for that purpose. We have responded quickly, we have put up new programs, we have looked at our very thinly spread resources and we have applied them as best we can. The Coronavirus Global Update podcast is doing really well. We are trying our absolute best to make sure that the information that is available reaches the people who need it. Be quick on your feet. We are a global news outlet with lots of editions and at the moment not quite enough staff. So if you have something that has a news peg, write us a quick, brief, concise, non-fluffy email and make sure you've got someone available to talk to us sooner rather than later. If we can't get someone to talk to us pretty much immediately, then it's likely to be a bit of a waste of our time. Thank you.